Module 4, Unit 3, Secure Web Browsing. In this unit, guys, we will identify the risk when you are using an open internet access. When you are accessing a public internet, now what are the risks? We will explain each risk that we will identify, and then we will describe as well the safe browsing practices. What are the recommended practices when you are surfing the internet in public, no? And then some configuration tips to browse a secure and private information through the internet. And then we will identify and the basic configuration of parameters of a firewall. Usually you need to know we will cover the basics and the fundamentals of a firewall, lalo na yung mga ginagamit sa public network or in public internet. Now, when we say free networks or open networks, or in other words public networks, when we use that, what do we have in mind? Are we aware where do we stand right now? You should be right now, lalo na ngayon na prevalent na internet is everywhere and we depend so much on internet using our phones, di ba? Sa mga open networks, ito yung mga open access points that you can see in public. No, these are actually run by telecom companies, mga companies dyan, di ba, sa Philippines, ito yung mga Smart, Globe, Convergys, and then ito yung mga public internets then may Wi-Fi that are not always secure when you send information because you are receiving, especially transmitting data in public airwaves. Yan ang those are the situations that we need to be aware. And then of course when you open an email, you log in and then you type in the password, di ba? So is it secure portal? Is it a secure portal, no? Yung connection. Are we aware kung secure ba yun or are we actually giving the password with the right dito server or with the right service provider. And then yung mga email and web services, how do we know if it is protected, if it has a secure connections, if it is using a secure socket layer protocol to establish a secure connections? Those are the things, no, na we need to be aware, well, lalo na when you're accessing a public internet or public network. Di ba yung mga public network that allows you to browse the internet, lalo na sa public libraries, sa mga internet cafes, sa malls, and so on. Those are the things that expose you, that you need to be aware when you are connecting the public network. Yung workstations mo, when so, lalo na iba, we always, so even me, no, we open our laptop in public when you're traveling sa mga cafe. So when you connect to their services, we need to be aware kung secure communication yan, if you have the VPN or if you have a company issued VPN or your browser is actually browsing a website in a secure way. So there could be risk exposure, like it could be your workstation could be infected by a malware, and then yung mga browser cache or cookies mo, it has to be cleared because yung mga cookies, you will explain later on ano ba yung mga cookies na yan, ano ba yung mga internet cookies na yan, no? Browser cookies, no? Yung mga browser cache, those are the things na we need to be aware in order to be educated about secure web browsing. So have we heard about malware threats? What do you mean by malware threats? Usually alam natin virus, di ba? Malware is a word for malicious software. We call it these are unwanted software na in-exploit or actually ruin your workstation at the operation level, operating system level or application level. Maraming klaseng malwares di ba? Meron mga viruses itself and worms. Worms is write once, read many. So viruses, these are unwanted software that actually that ruin your computer, no, that will start to malfunction. Yun yung mga bagay na yan. And then meron ding virus na tinatawag na Trojan horse. You know the story, the Troy, alam niyo ba yung story ng ng word na Trojan horse? Nasa yun Iliad, Trojan, no, Trojan horse, the fall of Troy, na yung horse, no, in a form of disguise idol, na yung pala sa loob nandun yung mga army soldiers that wants to penetrate yung unpenetratable wall ng Troy. Yeah, you watch the movie. Now, meron ding adware, advertisement software na infected, no? Or adware na keep on popping up on your screen, yan. And then spyware, from the word itself, it's a spy software, no? Ito yung binabase mga private information stored on your station, no? Those are the libraries, those are the cookies, browser cache, and so on. So those are the threats on if for an unsecure web browsing. And then for example, ito yung utilities na ginagamit that for an IT people to use to scan yung computer mo, how healthy it is, and then may mga configuration dyan to manage your workstation in order to check and validate na your workstation is doing a secure web browsing. So yung mga browser din, pag it has to be updated. Kaya minsan mapapansin nyo, yung browser nyo, pinaprompt kayo na kailangan ma-update. It is because of the patches of mga recent release na to improve yung browser and to ensure na it's up to date sa mga security threats. Yung mga variations, yan ang mga variations, revisions, mga patches, yung mga ginagawa pa nag-update ang mga browser nyo. So, kasama dyan yung mga security patches. Lalo na sa security patches because these browsers are the widely used software and then that is your interface, your gateway to the internet, di ba? So, kailangan malinis yan. Kailangan free from malware threats. And then, meron din tinatawag na spyware. Di ba? Symptoms, when you have spyware and adware, ano ba yung mga symptoms? We know, di ba, spyware from the word itself, di ba, and the adware, as explained previously. Kasi, malware is, it remains hidden. It spreads, no? With most of the time criminal intent to sabotage or to expose information. So yung mga pop-up windows, yan ang mga tinatarget dyan, yung mga browser toolbars. So that's where you actually where the information, where the link starts, no? Ito ang nababago. And then minsan ina-update din ng mga provider. Yung mga pop-up windows, we need to identify na if it is unusual or regular, ganun pa ba itsura niyan, no? So usually kasi mga pop-up windows na the first time you see it and then it's telling you to do this and that, and lalo na pag may mga mga alarming or urgent or emergency messages or threatened you, yun ang mga symptoms that obviously that your browser is already compromised, hindi na secure. And then yung mga pop-up na windows na like banners, no, telling you a new feature, lalo yung mga mahilig sa online shopping, or sometimes fake antivirus. Sasabihin compromised ka and then it will tell you na this virus is the answer to your problems, di ba? At the same time, when we are browsing, wala ano ba yung mga browsers that we have in mind? Yung Edge, yung Google, di ba? Chrome, and then Mozilla Firefox. Those are the popular browsers that we use, lalo na sa Windows Station. So, may mga compatibility din na pinag-uusapan dyan. May mga kanya-kanyang format yan, may mga kanya-kanyang version. So sometimes it works, all these browsers are compatible to all websites. Meron naman yung lalo na sa mga device configuration o kaya sa mga you are accessing for example, a bank institution. Sometimes they specify na it works only well on on Chrome, and it will tell you the symptoms. May mga information na hindi lalabas kasi minsan it's not available. May mga information available only on Edge but not available in Google. So, yung mga ano yan as not only as agreement, not only about proprietary, pero it is designed that way. It is the way sa designer and company ano yan, decision how they want their information to be browsed, or what kind of browser they need to specify to be used, no? So usually it is recommended na don't depend or rely on one browser. Don't rely on one browser. Yeah, I think kasabihan na ito applies na don't put all your eggs in one basket. Ako, to me, what I do, sa mga personal informations like banks, schools, and so on, I use Google. And then kung gusto kong mag-explore ng mga websites, like mag-visit ng mga bagong websites, I use Mozilla Firefox. And then yung Edge is something more company-based, company-oriented, mga Microsoft alone, doon ko ginagamit. I rarely use Edge. It is for testing o lalo sa mga official, pero sa mga pag-explore at sa mga personal information, I use differently, as I have mentioned. No, when you choose a compatible browser, I mean the vendor itself or the website itself will tell you what to use. And sometimes may magme-message talaga. And you need to be aware. You need to pay attention sa mga warning messages na yan. Na it will tell you kung legit, or it will tell you na it's really Adobe, for example, on this example, na telling you na you need to do this and that. You need to use this. Kailangan mo ng flash player, for example. So, yung browser kasi may mga scripting yan. May mga kanya-kanyang scripting. Scripting, these are small programs, no, that we discussed on the previous units. And then may mga add-ons. Ito yung mga extensions, additional sa browsers to function accordingly, depende sa website na or web page that you are trying to run. And then, like for example, yung Flash and Silverlight, ito yung example ng compatibility in a browser in running a video through a web page or through a browser. So, minsan may gawa sa Flash, may gawa sa Silverlight. Those are the things. So, meron ding Java. Ito, ginagamit to sa mga, sa mga, what is this? Sa mga virtual machines, automations. So Java in general is can be run on any browser, but you need to know if it is installed, and you need to know kung ano mga version release dyan, because Java will may mga may mga specific requirements so that you can run and browse and run a browser accordingly. So may mga features na, like for example, disabling the client-side scripting. What do we mean by that? First of all, when we say scripting, itong small programs, written programs to execute a program. So, still a program then. This is what we usually do. Yung even tech people, even simple people who knows how scripting. So, sa client side, meaning this is running on your computer. So, usually, ang server where the website is, the origin is, so nandun may scripting. So, they generate the scripts, no? Merong mga script na written for server para ma-access mo yung, to access their websites. And then, yung client side naman, ito yung localized. Yung server side kasi centralized ang scripting. Anyone can use the same standard, the same format, the same scripting languages. When it comes to client side, not unless na you install it at this consistently on all client workstations, they have a different scripting styles. So it may have a conflict, it may raise a conflict between the server and the client pag magkaiba ang version ng scripting. Lalo na pag compromise na ang scripting. So what will happen, it will, instead of going directly to the server, instead of sending the information to the server, yung client side pag compromise o kaya ibang ang scripting niya at the client end, it could be sent somewhere else instead. No? So that's another thing that we need to be aware. So in websites kasi meron, lalo na sa public internet, depend heavily on the client side scripting. No, kasi it is expected na in the internet, lahat ng clients could be a smartphone, a workstation running on Windows, a workstation running on Linux, or an Android phone. So hindi pwedeng centralize ang scripts, no? So meron namang browsers na won't allow you, to disable scripting. And depende kung kung ito is administered by the company or you don't have the add-on to let you do an adjustment or changes, like for example disabling a script. And then meron ding mga script blockers, yung meaning pini-prevent, no? I-prevent you to execute scripts and from the word itself. So in a browser, meron ding add-ons, di ba? As we have said, ito yung mga extensions, ito yung mga additional programs that needs to be installed sa mga browser to function properly. For example, sa mga video editing, when you're trying to play a video or you are running a training using a browser, may mga add-ons yan. So you need to manage those. In what way? You go to the settings, and then you need to know you need to identify ano yung mga add-ons na naka-install sa'yo, di ba? So may mga add-ons kasi na as extension ng, for example, ng Adobe, like Flash, no? Shockwave Flash. Kailangan what you call it, ma-install sa browser para makapag-play ka ng video created by Flash. And then plugins is almost the same thing, and then meron naman themes na to customize a browser and so on. And then meron namang mga tawag dito, vendor specific, kasi may mga database na tinatawag or repositories to use a browser vendor, no? A browser vendor repositories to access those, no? To gain access sa mga database, yon. May mga add-ons din yan. And then meron ding add-ons for digital code, signing, digital code. Ito yung mga certificates, for example. So to manage an add-on, you need to verify na saan mo ba ginagamit ang browser. So yun din na makikita mong add-ons dyan. Pero pag meron something unfamiliar to you, you need to remove those. You can always add, you can remove. And sometimes you'll end up na you had to reset your browser talaga, no? So managing add-ons is like what? Number one, text file storing session information. Ito yung mga save password, save sessions, kailangan yan. Yung mga browser metadata, and then yung mga personal information, or we call it PIE. Actually, it's a personally identified information. Yan ang mga yan ang mga minamanage dyan. Yan ang mga sinisave. Yung mga cookie types. Ano ba yung mga cookies? Ano ba yung internet cookies? No, cookies Alam natin yan, pagkain yan. Yung mga ano to, parang mga crumbs. Ito yung mga traces ng mga internet activities mo. Mga saved information within your workstation. It also has the browsing history. So, may first party, direct from the browser itself, third party, from other add-ons or other website being visited. In other words, ito mga information about the browsing activities that you have done, no? So, minamanage yan. Ano ba ginagawa niyo? You have to clear that once in a while. At the end of the day, kung masyado ka na browse marami o it's been using the browser for quite some time, you need to clear those kasi may mga information na you have to let go. Yon. So, you have to let go na you don't use anymore na may be valuable sa mga, mga hackers o mga nag-i-steal ng information. And then, managing add-ons also involves privacy and securities. So, for example, you're visiting a website that highly secure, na kailangan ng certificates, or sometimes a cookies cannot be installed because of the malware. And then, yung ano kasi yung threats sa cookies that I said earlier, pwedeng gamitin against you. It can be accessed, it can be copied, it can be replicated, and it can be sent back to the with the malware to exploit. So may mga kasi most of the time actually kaya napupuno yung yung hard drive mo because of the browsing histories, yung mga cookies na nagsasite. So it is one of the best practices and always being ang tawag ito implemented na when lalo na sa mga designer o mga programmer na they had to exercise privacy act. They could also be sued because of not imposing security framework or security procedures in developing a website. So these are the things that we need to be aware when managing add-ons, lalo na when it comes to privacy and security. Now, in pop-up windows sa secure browsing, we need to be aware if it is legit or not. No, those are actually yung pop-up windows, lalo na when you are creating a login account or when you are these are windows that pops up when you are accessing lalo na sa banking institution, di ba? When you're trying to enter something, to enter information, yan yung mga lumalabas. Yan ang pop-up windows. Kasama yan sa mga browser. So, it has to be managed. We need to be aware kung ito is legit or this is safe. Ito ba yung nanggagaling talaga or infected na? So, it's like it's generated from a script or from a link when this pop-up windows appears. And may cascading effect kasi parang chain reaction, from one pop-up window to another. So I remember all of a sudden, yung before the first time I encounter a virus na exploiting the browser, ang daming pop-up windows, labas na labas, napupuno yung ang daming lumalabas punong-puno na yung taskbar mo, ang daming browser na open. Yun ang mga infected browser. Yung tinatawag ng mga spawning. Open, that's infected even without doing anything, no? So to make a more secure in controlling cookies and pop-ups, yung browser settings, alam niyo dapat kung saan hanapin yan. And then actually you Google, how to clear cookies, lalo sa Mozilla. I do that every day and I keep on reminding myself na kung saan nahanapin kasi they even change the location kung saan yung settings button. So, o kaya yung buttons to disable the cookie or uninstall some plugins o kaya to manage the pop-up windows. Nag-update palagi kasi yan. So, yung orientation, yung layout, yung location ng buttons could have changed. But you always start with the settings and then there are options that you can follow through. Like for example, to block a certain domain o kaya yung mga setting up of some permissions with other ano, like for camera, microphone, no, it will tell you to disable, but actually it's running na without your knowledge, di ba? It's starting from privacy and security about forms and passwords. You can find it from there. So, may mga built-in talaga na pop-up blockers from Google, yung mga disable mode, I mean, do not allow pop-ups, no? Ganyan, ito, block pop-up windows, yan. May mga built-in yan eh. And then, may mga, ano, you have to, merong add-ons, no, for yung mga ads not to run, not to be integrated with the browser. That's how you control cookies and pop-ups. Go to the settings. No, you go to, usually it's a private and security. You will see those. So meron ding ano option na to disable autofilling and clearing browser cache. Ano ba yung autofill? Ito yung mga autofill na when you enter your for example a name, a data, no, it populates automatically. Nagsisave yun na i-type mo pa lang yung first letter, lalabas dun yung mga names na ano na or mga information na in-enter mo before. Ito yung mga history records, no, about the data you enter and the pages you visited, starting from password to information, address, no, names. Ito yung mga autofilling. So sabihin eh, oh, that's good. You don't have to type in, lalo na pag ang address mo napakahaba, no? But that's not good at all. You also have to clean that every now and then. And then yung ano ba yung browser cache? Ito yung cache is like a memory. Ito yung a storage or a place where information are being saved temporarily. It's almost similar to cookies, no? It is where some of the information are temporarily kept or stored. So, yung information should be protected by your operating system account credentials. Dapat yung it's a best practice lalo sa mga enterprise computers, yung browsing is controlled by the information services na you're using the same credentials lalo na sa mga when you are going to websites. So pag iba invalid na yung mga mga credentials, ilalak na yun. It will be blocked, I mean. So another way na to be to be safe in browsing is sometimes you switch the incognito mode or private browsing mode. It prevents the browser from saving his browser records or information that you entered before. So aside from having a browser in a secure way, you need to browse it also in private way or incognito mode ang tawag doon. In a secure browsing, meron din tinatawag na digital certificates. Digital certificates because ginagamit sa computer systems, sa networks, sa internet. So this is actually the identity of a server and a client. Ito rin ang ginagamit for encryption. When we say encryption, ito yung mga encoded data that are being sent, being entered. So, meron tinatawag na asymmetric encryption because it involves public key and private key. So, encrypted na over HTTPS. When we say HTTPS, di ba? This is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Secure browser in a secure channel. So, dito being sent yung key for encrypted message para ma-decode. So, once encrypted, the public key cannot be decrypt the message. Yon. So, hindi mabasa ng iba, in other words. So, it is stored securely in a HTTPS server. So, server identity is guaranteed by certificate authority. Sino ba itong certificate authority? Ito yung governing organizations that manages the certificates, the digital certificates, and validates the identity and authenticates the digital certificates being issued. Sa madalit salita, in digital certificates, ito yung parang birth certificate natin, yung certificate authority, ito yung NSO. Sila nag-authenticate, di ba? So, When it comes to decrypting and encrypting information, meron tinatawag na PKI or Public Key Infrastructure. Inai-install yan sa mga browser. And yung browser must trust, of course, it will prompt you na to trust this certificate, to trust this digital certificate, lalo na CA's root certificate, dapat trusted yon. So may mga valid and invalid certificates, di ba? And when we say invalid, doesn't mean it's infected, meaning it's not being recognized or authorized by the CA authority. Ganun lang yun. Paano kung mga private digital certificates or mga makikita mo usually sa mga industrial, sasabihin invalid because it's not being registered to the CA. So usually yung mga valid certificates, ito green yan, legit. It's been inspected and makikita mo merong HTTPS. No, this is the domain, this is the server websites, no, and then it will tell you, no, about the website identification. So usually ang mga invalid websites, it will prompt you na ganito, may problema, may issue. It will warn you actually. Depende sa settings ng inyong browser, it will prompt you kung hindi validate, kung walang digital certificate, ito makikita niyo message. Kasi minsan yung mga address dito, mga misleading. Minsan may mga inserted characters na not everyone can notice. May mga misspelled or misleading domains. Yan. So, and then meron kang makikita din yung padlock icon. Yan ang makikita mo pag mga digitally signed na websites. So when we say green certificates, indicates na extended, may expiration kasi. So Microsoft, lalo na Microsoft, when we deal of licensing, lalo na pag gumagamit ng mga cloud applications, may mga license and certificates yan. So pag untrusted, ito yung mga hindi pa na-issuehan ng certificates or certificates has not been added to the browser, as add-ons, etong lalabas sa screen, mabablock yan and it will warn you. And sometimes may makikita na customized by the company itself, you're using the company internet resources, it will warn you na it is not it's either the website is being filtered out or blocked, or it will tell you a warning like this to give you an option to continue or not. Ganyan. So pag ganito ang cases, you are taking a risk, lalo na pag you are going to an unfamiliar website. What you need to do is work with be cautious and work with the IT staff, na is this giving me information, what should I do, don't sometimes kasi even me, we do it by ourselves, mahilig tayo sa ganun, di ba? So let's talk about firewall. When it comes to secure browsing, firewall is very important. Marami mga advanced features dyan that we need to be aware that, for example, when it comes to packet, we all know, as it's been discussed, what is a packet, di ba? Merong packet filtering. Dito filter natin in terms of IP address or in terms of application port number. Kasi ang port number usually sa operating system is always open. So merong dapat sa firewall i-disable lahat and enable only that what you need. Yun ang practice sa security, no? So packet filtering lahat yun. May mga binablock, may mga na-open from address to port number. And then, may inspection din ginagawa sa firewall. Stateful inspection in a sense na yung ina-analyze ang connection at application layer. Ito yung status ng application, yung mga security layer, mga browser layer, mga HTTP, HTS, and so on. And so on. So, meron ding function feature ng firewall na sinasabi yung mga hardware or firewall appliances o kaya yung mga software firewall. Yung software firewall, ang example dito yung Windows Defender, yung naka-install sa operating system. Yung firewall appliances, yung mga Fortinet, di ba? Yung mga TP-Link firewall, many of them. mga talagang gawa ng mga vendors to as a firewall. And then meron ding firewall na yung for network only, and meron naman for host firewall. The same again, ito yung Windows Defender or Windows Firewall. Host yon. Kasi yung firewalling niya, particular lang only sa device itself, to the host it is being installed. In network, it is the entire network. May firewall yan. So, let's go to this example, no, where to configure a Windows firewall sa control panel, you open that, and then makikita mo doon yung Windows Defender firewall. Babasa ko sabay-sabay, no? So it is an example of host firewall or personal firewall. It runs on Windows, diba? By definition, it runs on operating system. So you launch it to the control panel or sa system settings. You can do that as well sa mga Windows 10, diba? And then meron dyan mga settings about network locations, whether to allow or to accept or to prevent, diba? And then may mga features when it comes to firewall, kung anong applications that we could allow to use, whether and then categorize as private or public. So yan ang example ng Windows Defender firewall that you can do. So, meron din tinatawag na proxy setting sa browser. Ito yung assigning a proxy. Alam mo yung word na proxy? It's the same thing here sa server or sa internet and browsing. You point it to a proxy server. Ito. Kasi, or wala kang proxy. I mean, it's not a good example, but you cannot do it also at the same time. But these are the things what you need to know about secure web browsing, no? Ito yung yung instead of going directly to the server or the enterprise server or sa workstation itself, sa home network, meron kang proxy. Doon muna dadaan yung mga incoming and outgoing traffic. So sometimes even the firewall itself is implemented as a proxy server. Kasi since firewall, diyan ang gate, no, ang gateway, diyan ang entry and exit ng data, nandun na rin ang ang proxy settings being implemented. So pag these are transparent, no, proxies that work without configuration. Meron automatic, may automatic. And then other proxies, kung hindi ang firewall ang acting as a proxy server, you need to specify kung sino yung proxy server mo. It's another station or another server that you can allow or incoming, uninspected, even inspected traffic, incoming and outgoing. So, in this unit, it is recommended na as a lab activity is to do some web security. Open a browser, try to check the add-ons, and then mga plugins, and then tingnan mo yung mga digital certificates as demonstrated to you, and then try to analyze the browser, when you are visiting websites. Try to use HTTPS, and then try to notice yung buong URL address if it is legit or not. You need to be mindful of those. So to be aware and fully fully aware is to practice, to do it somewhat. Even though we've been doing a lot of interneting, browsing activities already. So in this unit, we covered and explained the risks when it comes to open internet, diba? When you're accessing a public internet. And then yung mga best practices for safe browsing, when you configure about security and privacy features of browser. We covered all of those. Now that you have known all of those, and then we identify the use and basic configuration ng firewall. We even discuss some features that you can actually explore, that you need to be aware. So in this unit, I hope this has been informative to you. See you in the next unit.